You do it.
All right, howdy folks, my name is Zane Williams, and these days I've got a band called The Wilder Blue, or a little independent band based out of Texas.
We're here at the Merle Fest, and I just witnessed his set. Man, it's smoking. Those harmonies were just super too.
Thank you.
That was it's just really good. How much of that set did you write?
Most of it. I think we did 9 songs, and I probably wrote all of them but one. I mean, I didn't write Seven Bridges Road.
Right, yeah, okay, I got you on that. Yeah, but you did a bang-up job singing it. You know, that was really, really good. Okay, since we are here at Merle Fest and really not that far from where this went on, tell me about your songwriting experience with Merle Fest.
Right. Well, so I lived in Nashville from 99 to 08, and I think in about 04, I had a mandolin playing buddy that brought me out here and kind of introduced me to the whole scene. So my first Merle Fest experience was probably 04, just as a fan.
Right.
And we had a blast, went to some jams. I'm worthless at a jam, was back then, still pretty much am, but I love to, listen to people jam. And so had a blast here in 04, came back in 05, I entered the song contest. They have the Chris Austin Song Contest, and they have multiple categories. I don't know if it's still this way, but back in that time, I think it was general, country, gospel, and bluegrass. And I entered all 4 categories, and I think I was invited as a finalist to perform in 3. I missed the bluegrass one. I remember that I put up my song Back Porch Bluegrass Band, but I didn't really totally know what bluegrass was. And just because that song had bluegrass in the title, my buddy was like, "That ain't no bluegrass song. It's got a bridge. You can't have a bridge in a bluegrass song. This is folk music. It's for jamming." I was like, "Oh." Well, anyway. So I was in a finalist in the other 3 categories. I think I won 2 of them. And, the prize was a guitar in both cases. So I walked away with 2 extra guitars and went home, traded one of them for a mandolin, which I still can't play very well, but play occasionally. Can't remember what I did with the other guitar. I think I gave it to somebody because I don't know. My main guitar, I also won in a different song contest. I mean, when you're poor, this is what you do. You just enter song contests and try to get gear, and then usually sell it for money or
Sure.
something. But, yeah, and so the other day, my wife was here in 05 with me, and she took some video on our little mini DV camcorder, and we recently had those videos digitized, and we hadn't seen them in a long time because the camcorder stopped working.
Yeah.
So we had the tapes put into files that we can watch on the computer, and I went back and watched it, and it panned over to the judges table, and Daryl Scott and Hayes Carl were at the judges table. I was like, "Whoa, hey, that's cool." I didn't.
And you didn't know who they were at the time,
did
you?
I'm not sure I did. I think Merle Fest is where I heard Hayes Carl for the first time, I think on the Americana stage.
Right.
I remember seeing Mindy Smith on the Americana stage and Old Crow Medicine Show, because around that time, early 2000s, they were still relatively new.
Yeah.
And then this is where I met the Avett Brothers, and they were doing the college market at that time, some college market stuff, which I was doing, and I ended up opening for them at some colleges here in North Carolina.
That's really
and,
cool.
Man, I did a show with them once in Nashville where it was during CMA Fest, but we were a block off. It wasn't part of the stage we were on, was just put up by an entrepreneur who got himself a stage a block off of Broadway.
Yeah.
It wasn't officially part of
Right,
the festival.
yeah.
And he sold, I think you had to pay to play, but you were going to get all kinds of foot traffic.
Sure, yeah.
Well, anyway.
Exposure, yeah.
Yeah. Nobody came. Nobody walked over there. The Avetts played for like 20 people. And then it rained, and those 20 people left, and I played for like 5 people, my wife and a few of our friends. But anyway, those are just a few of my Merle Fest memories. And since then, I've always wanted to come back and play. I've never gotten the invite or had it work out, but we just kind of had the triumphal return of just 20 years later, man. That's all it takes.
Yeah. It's instant success.
Yeah.
Actually, how did that come about, really? Did you agent just hook it up without you really knowing? Or?
Yeah, so these days we're booked by William Morris.
Yeah.
And I believe that the festival rep at William Morris, who is in charge of dealing with nationwide festivals,
right.
I'm pretty sure she was the one that hooked it up. But I assume maybe it's because some of the people here had finally heard of us. Probably. That usually helps.
Yeah, that helps. That helps.
And I get it, because festivals are a hard nut to crack, because you've got
really
all the people that have been coming here forever, that are like family that come every year. And then you've got new people who are from the region who you obviously want to showcase and give them a chance. So if you're sort of a new band that's from out of town, it's those slots are a little bit few and far between sometimes. But
sure, I mean, I played here for 15 people in the pouring rain, so I mean, I feel your pain. I think actually Old Crow played here for about 15 people in the pouring rain, but then they set up and did a kind of pop-up thing till they got kicked out. But
and whoever the next big thing is probably out there right now.
Probably.
Yeah.
Are you out in support of something right now? And you do have a new project?
We're out in support of our families.
Okay, that's great. Yeah.
Now we're blue collar musicians, so we do about 100 shows a year. It's
that's
our
a
primary.
lot of shows too.
Yeah, it's our primary way that we pay our bills, and so we're just kind of always on tour. But we do have 4 albums out and a new single that's about to drop, which will be a standalone digital single, because we made it a while back, and then we made album number 5, which is not out yet, and we didn't feel like this one song fit on album 5, so we're just going to put it out by itself. And then this summer we're planning on rolling out album number 5 and having it out by August, hopefully.
That's good. You also have a number of records out as a solo artist too, right?
Yeah. So, so after the Chris Austin Song Contest here in 05, I made, or maybe had just made, the first record that I was really proud of. And it came out in 2006, and before that I'd made 3 or 4 things that I just don't even talk about anymore, or at least they're not available, to the public anywhere anymore, because they're just not up to scratch. But in 2006 I came out with my first real album that I'm proud of. It's called Hurry Home. And then I moved from Nashville to Texas, and eventually made several more records, put together a band, kind of started doing the Texas dance halls and honky tonks. And so I think if you count the greatest, there's like a greatest hits compilation album, I think if you count that, I have about 7 solo albums.
Wow, that's a good many.
And then 4 now with the band.
Where do you work out of in Texas these days?
I live north of Dallas in McKinney.
Yeah.
And we live there because it's where my wife's from. And my only brother is also close by there. So when my parents retired, they moved there. So we've got her parents and my parents are close, and it's just a good place to be close to family, raise a family. And it turned out to be really to save my music career, because when we moved there and left Nashville, my intention was just to give up and get a real job.
Right.
Because nobody wanted to give me a record deal in Nashville. Nobody was cutting my songs. I was too folky for the mainstream, but a little too mainstream for folk, and I just didn't feel like I fit anywhere. And even as a songwriter, the music that was starting to get real popular was stuff like Florida Georgia Line and kind of the more hip hop oriented stuff that is not my bag. And so I was really moving to Texas to just give up and start a family and be close to family. I'm going to do real estate or something. And then I really discovered the Texas music scene that I had not known all that much about previously, despite having been born in Texas. We moved when I was 6, and then I came back to college. But in college, all my friends listened to Dave Matthews and Pearl Jam, and
Sure.
I was the only person I knew that listened to country, period. And what I listened to was just mainstream radio, so 90s country, Alan Jackson, George Strait. So I hadn't heard of Robert Earl Keen or Jerry Jeff Walker or Randy Rogers or anybody like that. And then, but when I moved back in 2008, I reconnected with a friend of mine from college named Aaron Watson, and he had a tour bus and a fan base, and I was like, what is happening? Because I didn't hear anything about him in Nashville. I didn't even know he was still doing music. I came back to Texas, and I went to one of his shows, and he's got people singing along to his songs, and he's got a bus and a good band. And so slowly but surely I met, Randy Rogers and Wade Bowen, and Pat Green recorded one of my songs, and Cody Johnson recorded one of my songs, and Kevin Fowler recorded one of my songs, and I just kind of, I did basically find that thing I was feeling where I was too folky for the mainstream and too mainstream for folk. Like the label Texas singer-songwriter was a good label for me.
Right.
It was a good label for what I do. It's a little bit country, a little bit rock, a little bit folk, a little bit who cares.
Yeah.
I guess the thing down in Texas is the box is pretty big, and the variety, there's a lot of variety, and people are pretty, they just like to hear live music, and they like to hear original music.
They do.
And so I could just kind of be myself. And so that's what I did for 7 or 8 years with the band. And then when I guess about 6 years ago, 7 or 8 years ago really, that was kind of starting to plateau out, and I was turning 40, or I had turned 40, and I was like, man, I don't know how long I can keep up playing the dance halls and honky tonks where we go on stage at 11 o'clock.
I know.
And we're done loading up by 2:30 or 3 in the morning, and then I got to drive the van all the way back to Dallas so that my guys can go to their Sunday morning church gigs, and it just becomes a beat down at some point. And it seemed like it wasn't, I was losing some of my best players to better paying gigs and stuff like that.
Sure.
So it's like, well, how do I deal with all these problems? I'm no longer the young guy that appeals to the college market and so forth. So I came up with this kind of harebrained idea of like giving it one more try and just putting together something kind of like the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band or the Eagles or the Beatles, something where I sort of cherry picked the best people from the Texas music scene, guys that could. I was just really looking for guys that were exceptional in some way, either multi-instrumentalist or songwriter or great singer or best in the world at one instrument or whatever. And then I figured if I can round up those guys and offer them a brand new project that they can be creatively involved in and be equal owners in, that maybe I could actually get great guys and keep them. And so that's basically what I did. I went around, it took 1.5 years, but to find the right people, and we went through some bumps in the road for sure. A couple of guys that we thought were going to work out that didn't work out. But we ended up in the right place. We got 5 guys that we have great chemistry, and all 5 guys in the band sing, which is a lot of fun.
I could tell from your set that they all 5 sing and they sing well.
Yeah, and our guitar player Paul, when we do longer sets, he sings lead on some songs and he writes songs and all the guys, you know, have musical ideas. We self-produce our records. Our drummer Lyndon is a producer and engineer, and so we've self-produced 3 out of our 4 records, really thanks to his skills in particular, but everybody's skills and experience were pretty good in the studio. And yeah, and so now, oddly enough, after leaving Nashville and getting old, I'm sort of better accepted there than ever, and we have, like, there's this country superstar named Luke Combs that became a fan of the band, and he hooked us up with his manager, and he took us on a stadium tour in 2024. We did 12 dates with him. We were just the first out of 4 openers, just playing for 20 minutes, pretty much while people were coming in and finding their seats.
Sure.
But we played at SoFi Stadium and MetLife Stadium, and
Yeah.
and then we got to meet all the other bands that played at those shows and just be a part of those huge shows, because every night Luke would play for 50, 60,000 people.
Yeah.
So that was fun to be a part of, and
Did that opening for him, I guess that opened doors, give many more doors?
yeah, I mean, it definitely gave us a certain amount of legitimacy,
Right.
you know, and our friends, it made us seem like a big deal to our friends and family.
Sure.
Other than that, I mean, like I said, we were just doing a 20-minute set while people were coming in and finding their seats.
Right.
So, I mean, we did make some new fans, but not a life-changing amount of new fans.
Right.
So we're still, at the end of the day, it was a good stepping stone, and we're still just grinding away and taking it show by show. And you know, we've also opened for Midland and Flatland Cavalry. We got to play Red Rocks with Flatland Cavalry and the Randy Rogers Band. We've opened for Charles Wesley Godwin. In fact, I think I just talked to a couple people out there that saw us opening for him.
Oh, yeah. I saw him Thursday night here. So,
Okay.
Yeah, so.
Yep. So we've opened for him, and the Opry, the Grand Ole Opry, has kind of made us welcome and said that they just want to have us on a regular basis. So we've played there 4 times now, and we played there a week ago, and we played this thing called the Caverns in Tennessee, which is a neat venue.
Yeah,
It's
it is. Yeah,
underground.
it is inside. Yeah.
So we're getting to do some cool stuff, and you know, we write our own stuff for the most part, although we're always open to the idea and excited about recording any great outside songs that come our way. And
That is one thing I've learned. Good writers are open to other good songwriters' songs.
yeah,
The good ones are.
I'd love for somebody to write me a hit.
You know, I get it. It's every good songwriter I've ever known recorded other people's stuff that was good. I mean, you're only as good as the song you got.
Right.
So, you know.
I mean, Jerry Jeff Walker, he wrote Mr. Bojangles, but he also recorded a bunch of Guy Clark songs.
Yeah.
It's just, in some ways, it's the respectful thing to do, is to just say, like, you know, especially if you have something going on as an artist and this songwriter, for whatever reason, doesn't have the voice or doesn't feel like touring and doesn't have as much going on as an artist, to take their song and to give it your platform, and I think it's a win-win.
I think it is a win-win. All right, I got another one for this one. Of the songs that you had in the Merle Fest competition, the Chris Austin, do you still do any of those songs?
Not very often, nope.
Did anybody record those after that?
Nope.
Well, you're like the...
Well, let's see. I'm trying to remember. Hurry Home. If Hurry Home was one of them, then the answer would be yes. Because I'm trying to remember. I think it was Start with Amazing Grace, Living in the Good Old Days, and then probably Hurry Home, because that was one of my main tunes back then. And there was a mainstream Nashville artist on Sony Records that recorded Hurry Home, and he put it out as a single to nationwide radio, and that was in 2008. And actually that was life-changing, because we had just moved back to Texas. I had no job. I had 6 months left on my publishing deal, but they didn't want to renew it because they didn't want to work with me if I lived in Texas.
Right.
So I had like a $20,000 a year income, nothing else lined up, and then we got the royalty check from that song, which wasn't even that big of a hit. It went to 14 on the Billboard chart, and it was enough to, that first year, we paid off all of our debts and bought a little house with cash in McKinney. And then ever since then, we just were able to, it kind of really enabled me to do the independent artist thing and not stress out about monthly commitments because of that. So yeah, Hurry Home did buy me a house.
Well, then
long story short.
That's good. I wonder, sometimes you wonder, like, okay, you win a contest here. I got a couple of buddies that's won here, and for the most part, one of them, somebody recorded one of his gospel songs, and he made gospel money off of it, which is different than country money, you know. So it's and then you get like Gillian Welch, who really just turned hers into money in a big way. So that's an interesting part of that, though, particularly hooked up with Merle Fest, to see what happens to somebody when they do that.
Right. Yep.
I saw your sit, so obviously you were worthy when you won here, and you're way worthy today. I mean,
well, thanks.
Your stuff's good. I'm really glad that my buddy John turned me on to you guys.
Well, thank you.
We need to know anything else.
Now you can look us up at thewilderblue.com. We got tour dates. I think we're coming back and doing some kind of Carolina country music fest. I don't know. It's on the website. And let's see. We're on all the social media things and so on and so forth. But yeah, come see us live, and I like I told the crowd here at Merle Fest, this is the music-loving, music-knowledgeable crowd. We're relying on y'all to get the word out to everybody else.
We're going to put this out on podcast and see what happens.
All right.
I thank you.
Thank you.